the Fan3Cast, dishing out the hottest NASCAR news and views while celebrating the three's historic comeback. Here are your hosts, Michael Metzger and Jason Schultz.
Well, Jason is off on vacation. We do have a replacement this week, so you don't have to just listen to me ramble incoherently for the next 20 or so minutes. We have Brittany helping out.
Hi, guys.
First up, we will review the Coke Zero 400, which could be summed up easily with one word, which is...
rain!
Rain was the story, as the race was originally scheduled to be run on Saturday night. That was washed out and pushed to Sunday morning.
That did not happen. Mm-mm.
It was pushed to Sunday morning. 7 laps were gotten in, and then what came back?
Surprise! A rain delay!
More rain. So eventually the cars did get back on track. We had some accidents, which we'll cover soon. The race was called after 112 laps. Eric Almirola picked up his first-time winner, which again we will cover shortly here.
Lucky ducky.
But here's the question. Did NASCAR make the right call in calling the race when they did? I want to say approximately, it was 3, 4 o'clock-ish in the afternoon. I'm going with absolutely. You have to think of it from not only the team's perspective, but also the fans that were gutting it out this entire time. Rain delays are a horrible experience. I do not wish them upon anyone who's been to a race. But you got to think, they waited all night Saturday, and then Sunday, they're waiting through the first delay. Now they're into a second delay. It was about 7:45 when the rain actually stopped falling. Take about an hour for track drying. It's about 8:45 before you're running another 50 laps. You're looking at almost a 12-hour day. Would you honestly want to be at the racetrack for 12 hours there, Brittany?
Heck no, especially with all that rain. No way. And I have to say, I mean, even if you were recording that, it would have eaten up all of the data space on the DVR. So as a dedicated fan, you don't want to miss anything, but here you were running out of space to record what was going to happen. And it was just being dragged out. It's one thing to have to go for a couple hours, but when you're moving from a whole day and then dragging it out throughout that whole day, it's too long. People get impatient. The drivers are getting impatient. They're losing their train of focus. It's just, they did the right thing. Good job, NASCAR.
And you do bring up a very good point. You gotta imagine how many viewers they lost at about, say, 2 o'clock. At these times, I'm just ballparking from what I remember in the day, but just think of it that way. How many people probably were like, this is probably going to end the race, and then they walk away, they go do whatever they got to do that Sunday, and they're probably not coming back to watch the end of the race.
And plus, with it being the holiday weekend, yes, people aren't working, but... you know, people make plans. That's the time to go out camping, to go have barbecues and, you know, be out and about, not sitting at home in front of the TV watching the race that keeps going on forever and ever and ever.
One driver that was extremely happy that the race was called when it did was Eric Almirola.
Oh, he sure is happy. And can you blame him?
First-time winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Picks up the win for the iconic number 43 Richard Petty Motorsports Ford on the heels of the 30th anniversary of Richard Petty capturing his 200th career NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win, and was the first time the 43 has visited Victory Lane since John Andretti in 1999. Now, the most important thing, all those historical facts aside for Almirola, is this really does make up for, in 2007, he won, and Brittany can see it, but you guys can't. I'm using my fingers to make quotes. He won a nationwide series race at Milwaukee. On paper, he won it. The deal was, Denny Hamlin was late getting to the track. Almirola started the race, which in NASCAR's eyes means he's the driver for the duration of the race. First caution happened. Hamlin gets behind the wheel. Almirola sits in the pit box. Hamlin ends up winning the race, but since Almirola started the race, he gets credited for the win. Been a little bitter about that. I can understand why. Someone kind of stealing your thunder. And I got to imagine that this makes him feel a little bit better about that.
Yeah, it's definitely redemption.
It was not a gift for Almirola, as he did lead 14 of the last 15 laps. It's not like he stayed out and gambled on the rain coming. He had to overtake Kurt Busch to pick up the positioning to be there for when the rains happened.
Goodness.
As with
The
any
accidents.
restrictor plate race, you run the risk of very large wrecks involving a lot of cars. And
Boy, did we ever see that. Oh boy, we sure did.
There were two of them. And they were aptly dubbed by Wally Dallenbach as the big one and the huge one. The first one occurred on lap 21. 16 cars in total were taken out or sustained damage in the wreck. It started when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got loose on the high side. It looked like he was going to correct it and save it. For some reason, and this is very puzzling because it's Jeff Gordon, but Jeff Gordon turns left to avoid the potentially spinning Stenhouse, who wasn't spinning at all, nails the right rear corner of Tony Stewart, sends Stewart into Stenhouse. All heck broke loose.
Yes, this was definitely an accident that called for stopping what you're doing in the other room and come running out to see, because, I mean, you had some big players taken out during that accident, and it was amazing to watch, and obviously I'm glad that they all walked away fine.
Brittany, you were personally affected by this first accident.
Yeah.
Your pick to win,
My pick.
Jimmy Johnson,
Yep.
was taken out and finished, where? 47?
Oh yeah. Second to last. Yep.
So,
Boy, did I like my pick this weekend.
well, it's Jimmy Johnson. Normally he gets
I was
through
hoping
that stuff.
I was hoping for that, but you just never know.
What's funny, and this does lead into the second accident that happened in lap 99, is Jimmy Johnson's teammate, Casey Kane. I was thinking to myself, gee, he would be a perfect pick to make to kind of shake things up.
He was kind of my second pick. Had I not picked Jimmy Johnson, I was debating between the two. Only because I never pick either one, and I was like, this would be a good race for them.
Well, he
So I
did
thought.
finish better than Jimmy Johnson when it all said and done.
Most of them did.
Casey Kane did trigger he was the first car to go in the second huge wreck. He was tapped from behind by Greg Biffle. He got sent to the inside, clipping Joey Logano, and from there, it was a parking lot. 26 cars were involved. Doing some simple math, that means 17 cars were not involved, including the handful that were already knocked out of the race, so that was pretty much everyone on track.
Yeah. Whew.
You want to talk about a crazy scenario where you had cars, Jeff Gordon, he finished 12th, but his car looked like he came from the local short track with duct tape on it and tire marks and just crazy. Last bit of news that just came in within the last day was Kurt Busch, who had that great run, was penalized for a height issue. 10 points were stripped from Kurt Busch. 10 owner points were stripped from Gene Haas. And Daniel Knaus, his crew chief, was fined $10,000. The fear amongst some fans on the Twitterverse is that...
I just want to get this straight. He was fined because his car was too tall? I am correct here, right?
You're making me look bad because
this is
I'm not...
the height issue, correct?
The
His
height...
car was too tall.
His measurements were not proper for the templates that NASCAR has set
How does
up.
that even happen when you have standard sizes on things? Like your tires and your wheels are a certain standard size. How does it happen that your car becomes too tall?
Adjustments common for these types of infractions are the cars being too low. It's because a spring has malfunctioned, so the car sits lower than it did at the
This did
beginning
not
of the race.
malfunction. They seem to be on steroids.
Lucky for him, the penalty will not put him in jeopardy of the top 30 positioning.
Oh, lucky ducky.
There are no worries there. He has a good cushion. As long as he's in the top 30, he makes it into the chase. So all is good for him.
Oh, let's start the chase.
But we
I'm
have
ready.
some more races before that. And we only have 2 more opportunities to tell it like it is when it comes to TNT's coverage, which, honestly, they had to do a lot to fill the time with all the rain delays. So I give them credit for pulling out all the stops to try to keep it
Oh,
entertaining.
yes. I saw very many Coke commercials with Danica Patrick And, you can make your own virtual label with your own name on it. I love that it's virtual on your own Coke for you to share.
So we should be seeing you posting a picture of your
Heck
Brittany Coke?
Yeah, Brittany Coke.
That said, one more race to go for TNT. I'm not going to personally really miss their coverage. I feel like the last few years they've kind of done it out of obligation because they had a contract with NASCAR. Now it's almost painfully obvious that they're really just kind of honestly mailing it in, which is a shame because there's a lot of top-notch talent on there. This is the point where Jason and I go back and forth on our power rankings. Brittany, you didn't happen to come up with your own power ranking, did you?
I'm going to pass on this one.
Because of the accidents and all the other funness that happened at Daytona, big shakeup in my power rankings. Jeff Gordon now finds himself first, Brad Keselowski second, Jimmy Johnson third. Not really good performances out of them, but it was better than Kevin Harvick, who dropped out. Johnson went from first to third because of his terrible performance.
Listen, I mean, he got the short end of the stick on that one. But hey, I'm a Keselowski fan, so, you could bump him up to first.
He's got to earn it. Mine are stats based. He's got to go out there. He's got to lead himself.
How is
some
Jeff
laps.
Gordon first?
He's leading the points. Got like almost a 30-point lead in the points.
Oh.
Next up for the NASCAR.
Talking about points, that leads us right into the chase.
Our next race for the Sprint Cup Series is the Camping World RV Sales 301.
301. What a lovely number.
Camping World goes the extra mile at the Magic Mile. Which I vowed in previous podcasts that if my driver Ryan Newman or any other driver that I might be cheering for, aka my pick to win, loses the race because of that additional mile, I will write a strongly worded letter to the good folks of Camping World protesting their use of an extra mile. Quick look at the entry list. Couple of things jumped out to me. One, we actually have 43 cars again, so that's a good sign. Two, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton are the only drivers entered who have raced in the previous 38 races at New Hampshire, making them the only drivers to start each and every race that has been held there. Bobby Labonte and Joe Nemechek have each raced 38 times at the Magic Mile. Neither are entered for this weekend's race. Now with Burton, this comes on the heels of his very first start in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coming in 1993 at this event in July, which has been bringing up some good memories for Burton. He'll be running for Michael Waltrip Racing this weekend. Second race of the year for him. He ran in Vegas earlier in the year. Not sure if he's going to get out there this fall at New Hampshire, so maybe this is his final appearance at the track. Hopefully not. Hopefully he can keep up the streak, get that 40th start to keep neck and neck with Jeff Gordon. The other note on the entry list, and Brittany, you might find this interesting, Morgan Shepherd is entered in the Joe Falk Racing number 33 Chevrolet. Morgan Shepherd, a young 72-year-old, is entered. He'll get into the race because of Falk's positioning in the owner points, but I have to beg the question, is this good or bad for the sport, having a 72-year-old out there driving?
It's kind of nice because it gives you a little bit of diversity. I mean, we're seeing all these guys who are so young, but then you also have to factor in reflexes and, yes, expertise and a background in what you're doing comes in handy beyond belief, but, you gotta wonder.
It'll be interesting. He has an anonymous sponsor. They have not been announced, nor I'm not even sure if they'll even show up on the car this weekend. But
I love that in my head right now. I'm just picturing like a black box with white lettering that just says anonymous across it. And that's what will be on his car.
I jokingly was originally thinking that maybe the AARP was sponsoring him, but they're already sponsoring Jeff Gordon, so...
That's a low blow, Mike.
It's true. It's very true. Brittany built up earlier the chase for the Sprint Cup. We're getting closer. 11 winners have already recorded a win, coming up on 8 races to go. So in theory, if 5 new drivers, win a race, they can get themselves into the chase regardless of their points. So, with 8 races to go, is it possible for any new blood, so to speak, to get in there? Absolutely. But I also want people to take notice of this race. This is going to be the second chase race at New Hampshire in the fall. This is going to help show who might be strong in that event. Now, that's going to be a very critical race, as that's going to be the second race, which the very next one is an elimination. So if you can get yourself in good positioning at Chicagoland, solidify where you are at New Hampshire, then you don't have to worry too much in the third race, but it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Now, I've babbled a lot right now, and we're going to get to our picks to win for the weekend. I would love to pick Jimmy Johnson because he's coming off of a 42nd place finish. He has 3 wins, 24 starts, 9.17 average finish. Very good pick. You know he wants to rebound from that 42nd place finish, get himself another win. The bonus points, hey, keeps another driver from getting himself into the chase. But I'm going to go with the driver that has tied for the most starts at the facility, Jeff Gordon. I haven't picked Gordon at all this year. I know I'm going to get some angry people out there who are Gordon fans because this is just screaming jinx on it. But in those 38 races Gordon has gone through, 3 wins, 10.58 average finish, which I think is phenomenal that he's only 1 position further back than Johnson in 14 more starts. Definitely needs his second place win, and it will make up for last week where he had a great car, got damaged, managed a 12th, but left a lot on the table last week in Daytona.
Well, Mike, I definitely don't have stats like you, Mr. Fancy Pants, but I will say that those are pretty valid picks. I think it helps that they both have something to be fighting for right now. I just think that with this track, we can be totally taken by surprise, and the Penske drivers have been pretty good at these kind of tracks in the past.
Qualifying, they've dominated.
Yeah, so they may come up and blow away Gordon and Johnson. Who knows? I also think it would be really interesting to see how Tony Stewart does. He needs us to get in the chase as well, and he needs a win. He's got to be itching for it. Coming back from his injury from last year, and this would be the perfect opportunity for him.
Good track record for Tony Stewart at this facility. I know NASCAR.com has pegged him as being a sleeper pick out there for you fantasy players. So you rattled off 3 different drivers, if I heard you correctly: Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Tony Stewart.
Heck yeah.
Can we narrow it down to just one? Or are we going to have to wait until Sunday to find out who you pick?
You're probably going to have to wait until Sunday, because I like to see how they do in qualifying and practice, because they get a feel for it, and it helps me get a feel for who I'm going to pick.
You don't have that sense of adventure, but we have laid out 5 good picks for this weekend. If you're not playing on the site, startandparkblog.com, get there right now. Play the Pick'em.
So visit the site and make your picks. Follow us on Twitter, and have a good day.
Next week, we believe Jason will come back from vacation. I'm not 100% sure.
Mike's hoping he does.
I did not say that. I'm not 100% sure because I'm pretty sure he had a bunch of other vacations, but on the same...
Good for him.
Same token, I will be on vacation this weekend, so I will be tweeting out different people that you can follow on Twitter to keep you up to date for all the NASCAR news, because I will be cut out of the world. And I know a few people are going to give me some flack on Twitter, but them's the breaks. But I will technically be at a racetrack, Watkins Glen. There just won't be any NASCAR cars going around the track. But there might be pace car rides, so...
There will be wine.
There will be wine. It's a wine fest. It's a great thing that they put on every July. I urge all New York fans to get out there, check it out, support the local wineries. If you're not from New York, why not? Come for the wine.
It's worth it.
Definitely worth it. So enjoy the racing this weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
Thanks for listening to the Fan3Cast. For more NASCAR coverage, check out startandparkblog.com and turn4racingnews.com. Follow along on Twitter at Fan3Cast, at startandparkblog, and at NASCAR Jason.